made a lot of salves. The first salves that I ever made went bad, and I mean like really bad. They separated, they turned watery, they even went rancid, and they smelled so bad. And to almost all of them, I added too much beeswax and turned it into a solid brick so that they weren't even usable. I thought I was doing everything right, and I wasn't. I was using logic, and it didn't work. So today I want to teach you how to make a proper herbal salve that is going to be exquisite, and definitely teach you what I did wrong before so that you don't make the same mistakes as well. Have you ever tried to make a salve? Have you ever wondered, why aren't they turning out the way that they're supposed to? Why don't my salves look like other people's salves? Why aren't mine nice and soft and buttery? Why are mine hard? Why does mine smell? Or maybe you've been nervous to try making them at all because they do seem very complex and difficult. Well, this video is going to save you all of that frustration, and you're going to come out of this feeling like you can do any salve, anytime, easy peasy. Hi friends, my name is Ruth, and this is Fay Hollow Homestead, and this is part of my Cottage Apothecary series, where I share how you can make simple, traditional herbal medicines at home, starting from the very beginning. So today we're talking about salves. A salve is basically just an herbal preparation that you put on your skin. It's designed to stay there, it's designed to protect, it's designed to heal, and it slowly delivers those herbal medicinals over time. And that's the key right there, slow and stable. And this is why the first herbal salves that I made completely backfired. Okay, so the first big mistake that I made when I was making my first salves was I used fresh herbs. When I started doing medicinals in general, making my own apothecary, I believed something very firmly, and that was that fresh herbs are always best. I knew that drying herbs can cause some medicinal qualities to fade, so in my mind, fresh is better. So I put herbs straight into the oil. So what I didn't fully understand was that fresh herbs contain water, and water and oil do not mix. That trapped moisture caused my salves to go rancid and spoil. Some turned watery, some smelled bad, and some were absolutely not safe to use. It was gross, embarrassing, and incredibly discouraging, and I didn't try salves again for a while. But this mistake taught me one of the most important rules of salve making. If you remember nothing else from this video, salves must be made from completely moisture-free dried herbs that are fully infused with just oils. Water is great in teas, it's great in infusions, but with salves, it's going to shorten that shelf life considerably, and it's going to cause spoilage. And that wasn't the only mistake that I made, though. So the first thing that you want to do when you're making a salve is you're going to take your dried herbs. Now I have herbs drying in my window right here, catnip. Those are wonderful herbs, but normally the herbs that you're going to use for salves are things like comfrey, calendula, lavender. I've used cayenne and black pepper even in my salves. Comfrey, as a topical salve, it is an incredibly potent medicinal that heals and seals wounds and bruises, and it even can be known as mending bones together rapidly. In fact, a lot of herbalists know comfrey not as the name comfrey, they call it knit bone instead. So these herbs that we're going to use are going to be completely dried. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to take your herbs and whatever herb it is that you want to put into your salve, and you're going to cover it with oil. And now that oil can also be healing and mending. I know coconut oil is incredibly moisturizing, and it has a lot of antimicrobial properties as well. Jojoba oil is incredibly healthy for the skin and healing. You can even use tallow as your salve base. Now, as long as it's an oil, you cover your herbs, and all you're going to do is just cover the herbs. Make sure that your herbs are dried again. Make sure that they are chopped finely and they have lots of surface area. And then you cover the herbs, and you can put them in any kind of container. Sometimes even just a pot on the stove you can use, as long as it's been cleaned. And I like to use a yogurt maker. where I put the herbs in the little yogurt cups and then I cover them with the oil and then I let them sit in there for 2 weeks and I let all that oil heat slowly and pull the medicinal properties from those herbs. And obviously it's going to take a little bit longer for roots than it is for leaf herbs, because roots are thicker and it's going to take a little bit longer for that oil to penetrate them in order to pull out that nutrients, all the nutrients and the good things that are going to heal you. So the idea is, when you're making a salve, you want oil with your herbs and you're going to cook it low and slow. And I use my yogurt maker. And I also have used the stove before, but I keep it very low and I cook it for a long time. No boiling, no bubbles, just a warm infusion for a lengthy amount of time. In fact, sometimes I like to set mine just on top of the wood stove and let it sit for a couple of days on the wood stove. If the wood stove's too hot, I'll put a trivet on there so that it's separated a little bit so that it doesn't get too hot. You can add all sorts of essential oils to this as well. After you have infused your oils with the herbs, what you're going to do is you're going to strain out all the herbs. And what I like to do is I like to do a big strainer and then I put some cheesecloth down and I let all that just kind of sit over a jar for a while. And all that oil will just drip, 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 drip through the cheesecloth. And I've got a very clean infused oil then. And at that point, that's when you want to add your essential oils if you want it to smell better. I know that comfrey is not the best smelling herb that there is. Tallow is not the best smelling oil that there is. And essential oils can really make a difference here. You add those oils in, and now you can also combine your infused oils. So you can put some calendula and comfrey oil together then, and that would make a very healing, soothing balm. Now, if you don't add beeswax, that's when you're gonna run into some trouble as well. And this is the other mistake that I made. Well, not the only one, but this is one of the other ones I made. I took beeswax, and according to the recipe, I put 1 ounce of beeswax for 1 cup of infused oil. And it seemed like it was too little. So it seems like a very small amount. So I very much added more, and that was the wrong thing. In fact, sometimes I go on the other direction and I add less and maybe just half an ounce of beeswax per cup of infused oil sometimes. Little Miss woke up from her nap, so I'm gonna have to do this with her in my lap now. Okay, so when you're making an oil or a salve, you're going to want to add a little bit of beeswax. And now there are other things that you can use other than beeswax, but beeswax is probably the most common thing. And I'm going to be showing you lots of videos on different salves that I'm making this year. They're going to be specific recipes so that you can get all the guesswork taken out of it. But I just wanted this video as an example, or as a base video for all the questions that we might have on why we're doing things the way that we are and how a simple salve can be made. So when I added too much beeswax, I ended up with something that essentially was a salve, but really only could be used as more like a candle. So less is more when it comes to beeswax. And especially in one of my later videos, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the difference between how much beeswax you're going to want to use based on if you're making a winter salve or a summer salve. Here is the simple salve making process. You have your infused oil. You've let those herbs simmer, not even simmer. You've let those herbs infuse slowly on low heat for a while. And now you take your beeswax, and I like to use shreds of it, and I put those into the warmed oil after I've already strained out all of the herb product. And then you stir that in. You stir in your essential oils as well. And then all you have to do is pour it into clean containers. So some of my favorite containers are these glass jars that look like this. I also like to use these tins. I especially make these tins for my husband. When he goes to work, he uses a lot of salves that I have made because he's in a very rough and tumble type job, and so having something not breakable is very good for him. And then all you do is you let it set naturally. Don't put the lids on until they're fully set and dried, because again, you're going to get that condensation and moisture, which is not good. And so let it dry completely and set, and then put the lids on, and you have your salves. It's not a hard process. The only thing that could ruin it is if you put in too much beeswax or if you let your herbs have too much moisture in them, or for some reason there's water in the oil that you add. So why are salves so worth learning? Salves are one of the easiest remedies that you can make once you understand the basic principles and rules. And they're one of the most satisfying. And they make incredible gifts to give to people. You're taking your herbs and you're creating something that is very shelf stable and something that can be applied even to children. It's gentle, it's soothing, and it's very, very effective. In the next foundational video of this series, I'm going to be talking about teas and infusions, where water is the star and where people make a lot of completely different mistakes. If salves are slow and protective, teas could be considered immediate and active. If you want to check out a video, I have one coming out all about how I made a beautiful healing salve for my mother, who is going to be coming out of surgery next week. That is going to heal her tissue quickly where the stitches are. That's going to help keep infection away and is going to soothe and smooth her skin so that scars are not as visible later on. This is an excellent salve. I've given it to my husband, who has cracked fingers while he's working during the winter, and the cracks on his fingers are completely gone. This man was wearing Band-Aids over his fingertips because they were bleeding so much. And because of this salve, 1 week later, his fingers are smooth and soft again. So check out my video on how I made a beef tallow comfrey salve and let me know what you think. I'll see you there. Stay blessed. If you're interested in getting any supplies and making these salves along with me as we go, I have a list of affiliate links below that are my favorite jars for tinctures and for salves, as well as the beeswax that I use and the oils that I use for the carrier base oils. And that way, when you're ready to start making your salves, you will be all set.